Welcome to my DIY laminate countertop video. In this video, I'll show you how to make your own laminate countertops, as well as the tools that you'll need to do it. To make your own countertops, you're going to need a table saw, a jigsaw, a circular saw, as well as the proper PPEs. To cut your countertops, you're going to also need a router, as well as a flush trim bit, and a J-roller. To glue on the sheet of laminate, you'll need contact cement. We use the Weldwood brand that we got from Lowe's. You'll need some dowel rods and a metal file. And wood glue, you need wood glue. For the actual countertops itself, we used particle board, but people have also used plywood. The MDF we chose was only 3/4 inches thick, and that's not thick enough for a countertop. So we wanted to add strips around the edges so the countertop looked like it was 1.5 inches thick. The first thing you're going to want to do is draw out lines on your particle board for the measurements of your cabinets. On the front edge of the cabinet, you're going to want to add 1.5 inches to have a little bit of an overhang. Then using your circular saw, cut out the shape of the countertop. If you don't have a circular saw, you could also use a jigsaw. Next, cut some MDF that's 3.5 inches wide that'll be glued around the perimeter of the countertop to give it the appearance that it's 1.5 inches thick. We glued the strips down with wood glue and clamped them overnight. See how the edge of the countertop looks nice and thick? After everything's been glued, you want to dry fit the countertop in your space to make sure it fits. Next, tape out the dimensions of your countertop on your actual sheet of laminate, but add an extra 2 to 4 inches because after you cut the laminate, you're going to want room to work with as you're repositioning this on the countertop. At first, we cut the laminate with our table saw, but we ended up liking the jigsaw a lot better. We found we had a little more control, so that's how we ended up cutting all of our laminate. Once you've cut the laminate, go ahead and apply the contact cement to the underside of the laminate as well as on top of the particle board. You'll have to put a couple of coats and you'll know the contact cement is ready to work with when it's tacky. This is when the dowel rods come in handy. You're going to use the dowel rods to provide separation between the laminate and the particle board because you've applied contact cement on both of those pieces. They're going to stick to each other when they touch. So the dowel rods are also here to help you position the laminate. When you've got the laminate right where you want it, start to pull out the dowel rod starting from the center, working your way outward, smoothing out the laminate with your hands, get out those air bubbles, and then use the J-roller to apply pressure over the whole countertop. So one thing I realized is a little confusing is we did the front edge of our countertop first, like I'm showing in this picture. After we applied that with the contact cement and cut it out, then we did the top of the countertop. Once you've glued on the laminate and used your J-roller to really adhere it to the particle board, you want to use your router and your flush trim bit to cut out the excess. I didn't get any video footage of this unfortunately, but it's really easy. You just use your router, run it along the edge. Once you're done cutting the laminate, use your metal file at a 45-degree angle and run it along the corner of the laminate. You don't want any sharp edges. We had a sink on our countertop, so if you do too, don't forget to account for that when you're making all your measurements. So after you've glued and cut all your laminate, it's time to install your countertop. We secured our countertop with liquid nails, but you could also use screws. Alright, there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Head over to my blog or my Instagram, The Sandy and the Salty, to check out more pictures of the finished product.